Before you try to find your purpose in life, there is something you must fix first. And most people completely skip this step. And that's why so many people spend years asking questions like, what is my purpose? What should I do with my life? Why do I feel lost? But here is the surprising truth. The problem is not a lack of purpose. Not at all. The problem, or the real problem here, is much more deeper. And until that is fixed, searching for purpose will always lead to confusion. It will always lead to frustration. Now, let me take your mind back. In the last two videos, we talked about something very important. First, we talked about the biggest lie about finding your purpose. And what is that lie? The lie is that purpose is something you simply go out there and discover somewhere in the world. Then what we also talked about why people feel lost. And the reason many people feel lost is because they're trying to build a life. They build a life without building a clear identity, without a clear structure. Now, today, we are going to go one level deeper because even when people hear this idea, identity before purpose, you see, many people are still, they still don't know how to apply it. And that is what we are going to talk about today. So the question becomes, what exactly needs to be fixed? What is that? So let's look at the real issue. The thing that must be fixed is your internal foundation. I say it again. The thing that must be fixed first is your internal foundation. Think of life like building a structure, for example. If the building is weak, everything on top of it becomes unstable, becomes shaky, because the foundation is weak. But if the foundation is strong, the entire structure becomes stronger and more stable. You see, most people try to build their lives in the opposite order. They start with careers, they start with goals, they start with ambitions, they start with achievements. But they never stop to build the internal foundation that supports those things. And that is why so many people experience success, that's right, but they still feel empty after, or they feel directionless. They have the success, but they feel empty, they feel directionless. So let's take a moment and talk about this internal foundation. So what is the internal foundation? Your internal foundation is built from things like values, your characters, your identity, your belief about life. And these things, they determine how you make your decisions. They shape the direction of your life far more than most people realize. If your foundation is unclear, your decisions will constantly shift based on circumstances you encounter, based on pressure, based on even external expectations. But when your foundation is clear, something powerful happens. Your life begins to move with direction instead of drift. Okay, let's look at why people skip this step. You see, one of the biggest reasons people skip this step is because modern culture focuses heavily on external success. In fact, we are taught to focus on things like career paths, where financial success, recognition, status, but very few people are taught how to build strong internal foundation. And without the internal structure, people often end up chasing things that don't actually align with who they are becoming. And that's why someone can appear successful on the outside but feel disconnected on the inside. Okay, let me give you a simple example. Imagine two people choosing a career. You see, the first person chooses based on what pays most, how much are they paying, what seems impressive, what others expect. Oh, they expect me to be this or be that. You see, and the second person starts with different questions and they ask, what kind of person do I want to become? You see, what kind of work aligns with my values? What kind of impact do I want to make? And here is the truth. Both people may end up successful, but the second person will experience something that the first person often doesn't, and that is alignment. Their work, their identity, and direction begin to reinforce each other. Okay, let's look at this hidden problem with chasing your purpose or purpose chasing. This is why purpose chasing can become so confusing. People often try to discover their purpose by, before they have developed a clear identity. And this is like trying to decide a road you should go, a road, where a road should go before you know where you are starting from. You see, purpose grows out of identity. I say it again, purpose grows out of identity. It grows out of the kind of person you are becoming. And I can say this a million times. Purpose grows out of the kind of person you are becoming. You see, when identity becomes clearer, purpose often becomes clearer as well. And when that happens, then you are on your way to enjoy a flourishing life, a life that has alignment. Okay, let's take a little bit of time and look at the architecture of a flourishing life. You see, over the time, I began noticing something. People build meaningful lives. People who build meaningful lives, they tend to develop certain core structures in their lives. They build strong foundations. They develop character. They cultivate resilience. They learn how to influence others positively. They learn stewardship. They learn responsibility. You see, these patterns kept appearing again and again. Eventually, this, led to the development of something that I called the FLOURISH Framework. The FLOURISH Framework is essentially a blueprint that describes the internal structure of a flourishing life, not just success. No, but a life built on identity, a life built on character, a life built on purpose, a life built on long-term impact. So, why does a blueprint matter? Why is it important? You see, think about any great structure in the world. Before it was built, someone designed a blueprint, and that blueprint provided structure, direction, and clarity. So, life works in a similar way. Without a clear blueprint for growth, people often move from one goal to another without understanding how everything, connects. But when life is built on a strong internal foundation, you see, everything begins to align. Your decisions become clearer, and your directions become stronger, and purpose begin to grow naturally from the life you are building. You see, okay, here is a key insight for you. So before you ask the question, what is my purpose, you may need to ask a different question: who am I becoming? Because the answer to that question will change everything else in your life. Your identity will shape your choices will shape your direction, and your direction will eventually shape your purpose. Okay, let me leave you with this. If you're trying to figure out your purpose right now, here is something important to remember. Purpose is rarely discovered by chasing it directly. More often, it grows out of a life built on strong foundation. It grows out of character. It grows out of identity. It grows out of clarity about who you are becoming. You see, when those things are in place, purpose, begins to emerge naturally. Okay, so in the next video, we are going to explore something that surprises many people. We are going to talk about why motivation often fails and what actually drives long-term growth in life. Because if you rely only on motivation, progress becomes inconsistent. But if you understand what truly drives transformation, everything begins to change. So, if you want to learn how to build a life of identity, purpose, impact, please, why don't you consider subscribing to this channel? Because that's exactly what this channel is all about. So, if you got something from this video, please like the video, give it a thumbs up, like it, and share it to someone else, that might benefit from it. So there are other videos coming on the screen right now. So click on any one of them and enjoy them. And I will see you in the next video.